There's a lot of things I think a person has to possess. The list is a mile long to be successful. Uh, Last night I just wrote down 3 things that came to me rather quickly. And the 3 things that I came up with was hunger, likability, and expertise. I think those are 3 things that one should possess, needs to possess in order to reach the levels of success that they see for themselves in this industry. Like I said, there's so many other things. The list is a mile long, but keeping it short and concise, hunger, likability, and expertise. Hunger is uh, it's that thing deep in your belly. It like overtakes everything. It overtakes like your soul. It's this drive. It's this need. It's this craving to do, perform, perform, perform. You have to have it. You have to go for it. It's like this hunger, like when you're really hungry for something, you get those cravings, you know, and and that I have that. And I see a lot of people out there in the industry that have that. They're just really hungry. And when you're really hungry, you're willing to do what it takes to accomplish your goals and reach those levels of success that you want for yourself. Um, so I think hunger is one of them. Likability. I think that's important. People need to like you. There's because we're working on clients, right? There has to be something about you uh, that clients resonate with. Sometimes it's just a picture of you on your website, and then a bio, something you've written about yourself. That's what the client has to go on. Um, when they're trying to find the right PMU artist for themselves. Sometimes they call the studio and they talk to you on the phone. If you have, a warm voice and you're helpful and you answer their questions, and you end up feeling like a safe, warm place for them, then they're probably going to choose you. On your website, if it's a friendly picture of you, if you write like a warm bio, and maybe even get a little intimate, like write that you about your animals, your pets, and some of your hobbies, so they're not just reading like a business profile, what you've accomplished on a business sense, but you're also giving them a little insight to your personality and what you like to do outside of work. Because if you put rollerblading, maybe somebody who rollerblades, they're going to read that and they're going to resonate with that. Or gardening, or for me, it's four-wheeling, dancing. I'm a foodie, so I put these things on my bio on my website. I want them to have a little snippet of my personality and things that I like to do outside of work. If you're wanting to teach and fill classes, your students, you want your students to feel comfortable with you. You want them to feel, it's important that they feel they're going to get a really good education, that you're going to answer their questions, you're going to be attentive to them and their needs. After the class, they feel, comfortable, that they're going to be able to reach out to you and get some support, after the class. Likability. It's important that people like you. If you're not liked in this industry or in any service industry, whether you're a hairdresser or a lash tech, if you come across as curt or not very friendly, then some people don't resonate with that. And they might think like you're mean. when really you're not. I mean, some people write kind of curt. I have a really good friend, and when we text, her text messages are really short and curt. And if I didn't know her, I would think that she's kind of mean and snotty. And if she's listening to this podcast, she's going to know who she is because I tease her about it. So, a lot of times we're texting our clients. We text our clients these days. We go back and forth texting our clients or in emails. So kind of keep that in mind. If you tend to be short and curt because you don't like to text and you don't like to email, and that's my friend's excuse. She hates texting, so she's short and curt. But there's no emotion behind text, right? It's just words. So someone can easily read a short answer or short reply as curt or unfriendly. It can get misconstrued that way. I'm not saying that you need to, write this big, long, warm, fluffy, lovey-dovey email or text. Who has time to do that? But just throwing in a couple emojis, maybe, a heart, smiley face, that warms everything up and it makes things feel, a little more personal, and it can just make all the difference in the world. So I think likability is really, really important, like in the service industry and PMU, we are the service industry, and expertise, and that's a given. I mean, expertise. If you are really good, really skilled with your eyebrows, if that's what you do ombre brows or hair stroke brows, whatever your technique is, or if you're versatile, you do all styles of eyebrow. Maybe you do eyebrows, eyeliner, and lips. Maybe you do it all. If you're really good, if you're only an expert in one area or you're an expert in, more than one area, that certainly can trump, short, curt emails and text. A lot of people may overlook that because you're an expert in your field. You do stellar work, stellar brows, stellar eyeliner. But for some people, they might, that might not matter to them, if you came across as curt or short, they might overlook that you do good brows and on to the next one. So those are just 3 things: hunger, likability, and expertise. To reach the level of expertise in whatever procedures you do, that takes a lot of dedication. It takes commitment, it takes discipline, and it takes practice, 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 practice. You're only going to be as good as what you're willing to put into it. As I mentioned earlier, I got 2 apprentices right now, 6-month apprenticeships going. I've got a couple more starting in the next 6 weeks. And, they're allowed, they go in the rooms, they watch all the artist tattoo, they break down the trays, they set up the trays, they cleanse the clients, they do all that, to be tactile and get in the procedure room and get their hands on things. But what I am a stickler for is they have to sit down and every single day on paper, they have to draw out 10 sets of eyebrows right across from each other, and get them, make sure they're level and they're symmetrical and they match each other. And then after they, draw out the brows, they fill them in with a pencil using the movements and the patterns that I teach them. And then from there, they go to latex and they have to tattoo 10 pair of eyebrows. And that's really important. That's part of my process. And to get them ready for the face, they got to develop that mind muscle memory. That machine's got to become an extension of their hand. Their wrist has to get used to the movements, and they have to get very fluid. By the time they get on a face, I want them to have worked out all their issues on latex. And as you know, first starting out, there's lots of issues right now. I'm like poking at them and tease them a little bit with all their spottiness and their issues, and we have fun. We have a little bit of fun with it. But seriously speaking, I mean, you know, I don't let them get on face until their latex work is like butter. It's like butter, because once they move from latex onto a face, it's a whole different ball game. There could be bleeding, swelling, the client could be, uncomfortable. There can be movement. It's 3-dimensional. The pigment might not take as well. It's just it's a whole different game. So latex only prepares them to a level, but at least when they sit down in front of that face for the first time, getting ready to do their first set of eyebrows, at the very least, they don't have to think about how they move. That machine, it feels like it was born in their hand. They know how to move. They're fluid. Their wrist is conditioned. They know how to move. Those technical things, they don't have to think about. It comes very natural because, they've done it every single day for weeks and weeks. And that really does prepare them for their very first client. I love apprentices. Michonne really loves apprentices. She likes giving them a little bit of a hard time. When you apprentice in a body tattoo shop, it's horrible. I mean, there's the hazing and oh my gosh. I mean, they're rough on an apprentice. I mean, apprentices in PMU have it a whole lot easier. I think on Cara Gutierrez's course, she's got a tiny tat course on the Girlz Inc. Academy. And in that course, she talks about the differences between a body tattoo apprenticeship versus a PMU apprenticeship. And she goes into great detail, like the way you're treated and what to expect in a body tattoo apprenticeship and the way you're treated and what to expect in a PMU apprenticeship or training. And it is like night and day, you guys. And I went through both. I was 18 months apprenticing at the skin factory here in town many years ago. And then I apprenticed in PMU. And so very, very, very different experiences. I think I cried a couple of times in my body tattoo apprenticeship. I did. I remember the first time like I fucked up Eddie's needle. I was trying to make a mag and I had a really hard time making magnums. Like I could make like round liners, round shaders, like that came pretty good. And I got good at those rather quickly, but when it came to making magnums, I struggled with that for a little bit. And I remember he pulled one out. I thought it was really good and I cooked it, sterilized it and everything, pulled it out and he used to make us he had like 3 of us making his needles and we had to put our initials on the sterile pack. And I just remember him, just like giving me like a whole bunch of grief about that mag needle. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. But that's what a good apprenticeship is. A good apprenticeship, a good mentor, good teacher, they point out all these things where you're weak and you need more work, as well as compliment you where you're strong and where you're doing good. It's like we have to lift you while we critique you, and that can be a tough balance, sometimes.